Lucy was scared, looking around for something familiar. Since the accident, her memory had turned into a great void. Now she relied entirely on her kind husband, Richard, whom she did not remember. However, Lucy was about to discover that not everything Richard told her was true, including her own identity. Hello, my friends. I am Linda, and this is the Linda's Stories channel. I hope you enjoy this story. Lucy slowly opened her eyes, blinking several times to adjust her vision to the intense light of the hospital room. Her head throbbed, and she felt a disconcerting confusion. She looked around, trying to understand where she was and what had happened, but her mind seemed to be a large, nebulous void. Beside her, a man with brown hair and gentle eyes held her hand affectionately. He smiled with relief upon seeing her wake up. "How good that you returned, my love," he said with a voice choked with emotion. "I was so worried." Lucy frowned, straining to recognize that familiar face, but nothing came to her mind. Who are you?" she asked in a hoarse voice. The man's smile faltered for a moment, replaced by an expression of concern. "It's me, Richard, your husband," he answered softly. "You had a car accident and hit your head. The doctor said there might be some temporary confusion." Lucy felt panic rise in her chest. She didn't remember anything. Not the accident, not the man who claimed to be her husband, and not even who she herself was. I don't remember anything," she whispered, tears in her eyes. "Not my name, not you, not my life. What's happening to me?" Richard gently squeezed her hand. "It's all right, my love. Your name is Lucy, and I'm here with you. We'll get through this together, okay? The doctor said your memory should come back gradually." In the days that followed, Richard stayed by Lucy's side in the hospital, caring for her with dedication. He told stories about their life together, showed photos on his phone, and brought personal items from home to try to stimulate her memories. Lucy listened attentively, eager to recover the lost fragments of her existence. According to Richard, they had been married for 9 years and had a happy life together. He described Lucy as a sweet and generous person, always willing to help others. "You have many friends who adore you," he said with a smile, "but I asked them not to visit yet, so as not to overwhelm you while you recover. They understood and sent all their love." When she was finally discharged, Lucy left the hospital with a mix of relief and apprehension. She still didn't remember anything, but she felt grateful to have Richard by her side, so patient and attentive. The car stopped in front of a cozy house in a quiet neighborhood. Richard helped Lucy out and guided her to the entrance. "Welcome to our home," he said with a warm smile. Upon entering, Lucy looked around curiously, seeking some glimmer of familiarity. The living room was spacious and well decorated, with comfortable sofas and shelves filled with books. On the walls, there were several framed photos showing happy moments of the couple. Richard took her on a tour of the house, showing each room with patience. In the couple's bedroom, Lucy hesitantly touched the objects on the vanity table. Perfume bottles, a hairbrush, small pieces of jewellery. Everything seemed both strange and vaguely familiar at the same time. "Take as much time as you need to readjust," Richard said gently. "I am here to help with whatever is necessary." In the days that followed, Richard proved to be an extremely attentive husband. He prepared Lucy's favourite meals, took care of the house, and helped her in every way he could. In the evenings, they would sit together on the sofa, and he would tell stories about their past. Lucy tried hard to recover her memories, but only disjointed flashes appeared in her mind, fleeting images of places and faces that she couldn't identify. The frustration consumed her inside, but she tried to stay positive. Gradually, she became accustomed to the household routine and Richard's constant presence. Although she didn't remember him, she couldn't deny that her feelings for him grew each day. His kindness and devotion touched her deeply. One morning, while Richard had gone out shopping, Lucy decided to explore the house on her own. In the office, she opened drawers and cabinets, searching for clues about her previous life. That's when she found a dusty shoebox at the back of a cabinet. With her heart racing, Lucy opened the box. Inside were several old photos and some documents. She picked up one of the photos and examined it closely. It showed her and Richard younger, smiling and hugging in front of a building. She turned the photo over and read the date written in pencil on the back. It was from 6 years ago. Confused, Lucy continued to rummage through the contents of the box. She found more photos of them together over the years, affectionate notes, concert tickets, and travel tickets. It seemed like a collection of precious memories from a relationship. At the bottom of the box, an envelope caught her attention. When she opened it, Lucy felt as if the ground disappeared beneath her feet. It was a divorce certificate, signed by her and Richard a little over a year ago. The shock left her stunned. How was it possible? Had Richard been lying all this time? They were not married, but divorced. Lucy felt a wave of nausea and betrayal. Tears started rolling down her face as she tried to process that devastating information. Why had Richard hidden this from her? Why pretend they were still married? At that moment, she heard the front door opening. Richard had returned. With trembling hands, Lucy put the documents back in the box and hid it where she had found it. She wiped away her tears and took a deep breath, trying to compose herself. She went downstairs and found Richard in the kitchen, putting away the groceries. He smiled when he saw her, but his smile faded when he noticed the troubled expression on her face. "Is everything okay, darling?" he asked worriedly. Lucy felt the anger and hurt bubbling inside her. "No, nothing is okay," she replied with a trembling voice. "I found the divorce papers, Richard. Why did you lie to me? Why did you pretend we were still married?" Richard's face turned pale. He lowered his eyes, unable to face her. "Lucy, I can explain," he stammered. "Then explain," she demanded with tears in her eyes. "Explain why you lied to me all this time, taking advantage of my amnesia." Richard sighed heavily and sat down at the kitchen table, gesturing for Lucy to join him. She hesitated for a moment, but eventually sat across from him, arms crossed defensively. "You're right, Lucy. I lied, and I apologize for that," Richard began, his voice laden with remorse. "It's true. We divorced a year ago. But when I heard about your accident, I simply couldn't stay away. I still love you, Lucy, even after everything." He paused as if searching for the right words. "The truth is, our marriage ended because you had become a very difficult person to live with. You were arrogant, selfish, and pushed everyone around you away with your behaviour. In the end, I was the only person who still loved you, despite all the problems." Lucy felt like she had been punched in the stomach. That description didn't match at all with the image Richard had painted of her in the past few weeks, that of a sweet and generous woman, adored by everyone. "When you woke up without memory," Richard continued, "I saw a chance to start over, to give you a new opportunity to be happy, without the burden of bad memories. I only told you the good side of our life together, hoping that you could become that wonderful person that I always knew existed inside you." Lucy shook her head, stunned. "But that doesn't justify your lie, Richard. You had no right to hide the truth from me, to manipulate my reality in this way." "I know," he replied, downcast. "It was wrong and selfish of me. But I was desperate, Lucy. You had no one else. Everyone had distanced themselves because of your behaviour. I couldn't simply abandon you in that situation." Richard's words hit her like a whirlwind. Lucy stood up abruptly, needing space to think. "I need some time alone," she said, heading to the door. "Don't follow me." Ignoring Richard's pleas, Lucy left the house and wandered aimlessly through the neighbourhood streets. Her mind was buzzing, trying to assimilate everything she had just discovered. Who was she really? Could it be possible that she had been as terrible a person as Richard had described? After hours of wandering, Lucy finally returned to the house, physically and emotionally exhausted. Richard was anxiously waiting for her in the living room, but she walked past him and locked herself in the guest room. She needed to process everything on her own. In the days that followed, Lucy delved into an investigation of her past. She scoured the house for more clues, researched her name on the internet, and tried to contact people who were supposedly her friends. What she discovered left her even more disturbed. She found old emails in which she was harsh and rude to colleagues. She saw social media posts where she made spiteful comments about others. On an abandoned blog, she read her own texts filled with arrogance and disdain for others. The image that emerged was of someone completely different from the person she believed herself to be now. How could she have been so unpleasant? What had led her to become like that? Determined to uncover the whole truth, Lucy finally decided to confront Richard again. She found him on the back porch, looking thoughtfully at the garden. "I need you to tell me everything, Richard," she said, sitting down next to him. "No omissions this time. I want to know exactly how I was and what happened between us." Richard hesitated for a moment, but seeing the determination in her eyes, he nodded. "You're right. You deserve to know the whole truth." He began telling their story from the beginning, how they met in college, fell in love, and got married young, full of dreams. In the early years, they were very happy together. But as Lucy advanced in her career, she became increasingly obsessed with success and status. "You became extremely controlling and perfectionistic," Richard explained. "Nothing was good enough. Not me, not our friends, not even yourself. You constantly criticized everything and everyone." He described how Lucy started treating people around her badly, including him. She belittled him, pointed out all his flaws, and demanded that he change to meet her impossible standards. "I tried everything to save our marriage," Richard continued with a choked voice. "I suggested couples therapy, tried to talk, begged you to see what you were doing, but you refused to admit that anything was wrong. You said the problem was me, that I wasn't good enough for you." Lucy listened to everything in horror, unable to believe she could have been so cruel. Tears streamed silently down her face. "In the end, I fell into depression," Richard confessed. "Your constant disapproval and criticism destroyed me inside. I didn't recognize myself anymore. I had lost all self-esteem. That's when I realized I needed to step away to survive." He explained how the divorce process was painful and difficult. Lucy refused to accept the end of the marriage, alternating between fits of rage and attempts at emotional manipulation. When they finally separated, she cut all ties with him. "But even after all that, I never stopped caring about you," Richard said softly. "I knew that behind that bitter person was the sweet and compassionate woman I fell in love with. So, when I heard about the accident, I couldn't just ignore it." Lucy was in shock, devastated by those revelations. How could she have been such a terrible person? How could Richard still love her after everything she had done? "Why, Richard?" she asked between sobs. "Why do you care about me after I've treated you so badly? Why bother taking care of me now?" Richard took her hands in his, looking into her eyes. "Because I know your heart, Lucy. I know that deep down you are a good person who lost her way, and because despite everything, I never stopped loving you." Those words hit Lucy deeply. She realized how much Richard had sacrificed his own peace of mind to take care of her after the accident. He could have simply moved on with his life, but he chose to be by her side in a moment of need. In the days that followed, Lucy underwent an intense process of self-reflection. Although she had not yet recovered her memories, the revelations about her past made her question who she really was and who she wanted to be moving forward. She realized that the person she had become since the accident, kind, grateful, willing to help, was much more similar to her true self than that bitter and selfish woman she had been before. In a way, losing her memory had given her the chance to rediscover her essence. At the same time, Lucy found herself facing a dilemma. The feelings she had developed for Richard in recent weeks were real and deep. She loved him not for the past she could not remember, but for the caring and dedicated man she had recently met. But would it be fair to Richard to start a relationship with her again? He deserved the chance to move on and find someone who made him happy, without the burden of their painful past between them. After much reflection, Lucy made a decision. She found Richard in the garden, tending to the rose bushes that she had discovered were his favourites. "Richard," she called softly. When he turned around, Lucy took a deep breath and continued. I have spent the last few days thinking a lot about everything that happened. About who I was, who I am now, and what I want for the future. She paused, gathering courage. I know I caused you a lot of pain in the past, and I understand if you want to move on with your life away from me. You deserve to be happy, Richard. His eyes filled with emotion. Lucy, She raised her hand, asking to finish. But if you're willing, I would like to try again. Not as the Lucy of the past, but as the person I am now. Someone who truly loves you and wants to make you happy. Richard was silent for a moment, processing her words. Then slowly, a smile lit up his face. I would love that, Lucy, he replied with a choked voice. But this time, let's build something new together. No lies, no manipulations, just the two of us being honest with each other. Lucy felt her heart fill with hope and gratitude. She knew the road ahead would not be easy. She would have to deal with the consequences of her past actions, regain the trust not only of Richard, but of all the people she had hurt. But for the first time since she woke up in that hospital without memories, Lucy felt she was exactly where she should be. Next to a man who loved her enough to give her a second chance, ready to become the best version of herself. As she intertwined her fingers with Richard's, Lucy made a silent promise. This time, she would be worthy of his love. For Lucy and Richard, it was the beginning of a new journey, one in which the past would not be forgotten, but would serve as a lesson to build a better future. Side by side, they would take the first steps in this fresh start, with hearts full of hope and renewed love. If you enjoyed, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment with a number from 1 to 5 to let us know how much you liked the story. Also, watch the video that is currently on your screen. See you soon.